I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to try to answer it honestly to yourself. How many of you have had this situation? You start trading, say, on a demo account, and you make money, but then when you switch to a real account, you just keep losing and losing your deposits? And here, I'm sure many of you have at least once wondered, what if the broker is deliberately making it so that you always win on the demo, but on the real account, you always lose? So in this video, we're going to break down this question as thoroughly, meticulously, and transparently as possible. Not just in words, I'll also show you everything in action. We'll find out the whole truth about a broker like Pocket Option. So why did I even decide to make this video? A lot of people actually have reached out to me with this exact request. First of all, because many beginners come in, start trading, and run into this problem. And naturally, they think, so why should I even bother trading if the broker acts unfairly? But it's really important to understand that. Actually, the charts, just a quick heads up, kind of a spoiler, but I recommend watching the video till the end. They're the same everywhere, whether it's a demo account or a real account. Why is it that on a demo account, we can feel like kings of the market, but on a real account, we just keep losing money? Let's try to break this down step by step, okay? Let me explain what I actually mean. But before we get to the most interesting part, I want to remind you that I have my own Telegram channel. There, I share my signals absolutely free, as well as news analysis. Basically, I do everything I can to be as helpful as possible for people who want to grow and learn trading. I'll leave a link to it down below in the pinned comment, and also in the description of this video. Be sure to check it out. So I'd like to start by saying that when you're just starting to trade on a demo account, and I'm speaking from my own experience here, because of course I also used to trade on a demo account. By the way, if you're interested, I'll also leave a link to this broker down below. After registration, you'll have both reality and smoke. The real one will be zero. You need to remember it, and a smoke bill will immediately be for $50,000. Therefore, everything that I talk about in my other videos, different strategies and so on, you can test all of this on a demo account. When you trade on a demo account, naturally, since it's not your own money, you don't care if you lose it. You don't feel bad about it. Plus, you can enter trades pretty calmly. You don't get nervous, your hands and feet aren't sweating, you don't worry, because it's not your money. It's money that basically doesn't even exist. Even if you blow your demo account, it's no big deal. You'll still have your balance. It'll just reset, so it doesn't matter to you. But with a real account, the situation changes drastically, because as soon as you start trading with your own money, fear kicks in right away. You get nervous, especially if you're a beginner. Especially in those cases, like I always say, for example, when we split the deposit into 6 steps. I always tell people, please, if you've chosen a strategy, stick to that strategy all the way through, so to speak. There are people who get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or even 6th step, and at some point they just realize, no, I'm scared, I don't want to open a position like this. And in fact, that's when they end up losing their money. And I would chalk this up to changing your own rules or strategies, because honestly, that's probably one of the most destructive things you can do in trading. Let me just show you a clear example, and then we'll continue discussing everything together. Look, as I mentioned before, I have a demo account, and I specifically opened the Euro USD pair on it. That's the currency pair I mainly trade. And I also have a real account on a real account. I now have a little bit of $900, also euro dollar. Please note that it's not different at all. I will reopen it again so that it's visible. You see the differences. Zero. We can even try it for fun. Look, so that everything is clear, I'll open, let's say, $100. For $100, as we see now, alright, let's remove this. We don't need it. Since we can see that there was a reversal, 1820, the market is currently going up. I'll open. Well, 1 minute is too short. Let's open it for 3 minutes here, going up. And now let's open one on the demo account. Right away, also going up for 3 minutes, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Obviously, there's a delay here, and for example, the position was opened at a better moment here. But I think you'll clearly see for yourself that there won't be any difference here at all. Yeah, and it's really important to understand this because a lot of people are actually testing things out. Just so you understand, I've had subscribers who told me they made several $1 million from a $50,000 demo account. I mean, those are just massive results. Honestly, I can tell you for myself, I've probably never traded that much on a demo to get results like that. But I totally get that people on demo accounts naturally tend to take bigger risks. Sometimes they open trades at just the right moments too. It's less stressful for their mindset, but when they switch to trading with real money, they can't act the same way anymore. And it's important to understand that on a demo account, when you're trading, you naturally don't rush things. For example, because you don't feel the need to win your money back, so you can take your time making decisions. You wait for a trading setup, for a confirmation point to enter. But on a real account, when people start trading, unfortunately, many people start thinking, for example, that they've lost part of their capital. Yeah, like a portion of their deposit. Naturally, they immediately want to win it all back as quickly as possible. They just want to see results faster. They want some kind of proof, so to speak, and it turns out that, unfortunately, when people trade on a demo account, they're real traders. But when they move to the real market, they turn into gamblers or just players. For example, you might open 2 losing trades. On a demo account, you don't switch into that psychological mode where you feel like you have to win it back because you don't care about that money. But when you're trading with real money, actually, it's not even an if. I'd say for most people, unfortunately, it works like this. As soon as they lose, they immediately think, I need to win it all back right now. Their cortisol levels go up and they start to get anxious. A lot of people also make a big mistake here. I've done it myself too. When you put some money in, say $100, and you see that your trade might end up in the red, you start thinking, man, I could have spent that $100 on something else. And surprisingly, those thoughts start to grow. Yeah, and you start thinking, I could have gone to a restaurant with that $100, or I could have spent it on this or that. That's the worst thing you can do. I always say, well, you see, we opened a little later here, but as you can see, it doesn't make a difference. There's absolutely no difference here. Let's take another look at it right here. Well, here everything ended up in the positive for me, you see? It's the same, right? Of course, that's because I'm switching over to this candle in Latin script right now. That's just how it goes, but everything's fine. Let's open another position for 2 minutes. Sorry, this time it's for an increase. Here, let's open for $100. We'll go in here as well, also for 2 minutes, all set for an increase. Basically, we just opened with the trend right now. The candle here confirmed for us that the trend will continue upward, so we've all opened. Let's wait. It's really important to understand that if you start thinking about the money, like, what could I do with this money? Or what else could I buy with it? Guys, you really need to try to get those thoughts out of your head. You have to remember this for yourself. Yeah, you should never trade with your last money, with borrowed money, with credit, or anything like that. You'll definitely end up in the red, and that's because that's just how our minds work. If you keep thinking to yourself that you need this money, that you have to pay someone back, that you owe it to someone, or even owe it back with interest, then what kind of logic kicks in? Naturally, what do you feel you have to do? Earn money, right? All the time. You can't even allow yourself a break. Not even for a moment to rest. Because, for example, if you took out a loan, you know you have an interest rate and you have to cover that interest just to pay everything back. And even though, objectively, you can make way more on options than what those interest rates are, but in any case, you'll most likely start catastrophizing. That you're actually trading well. Here, you made a great profit. And here, now we switched over and it's all the same. Pay attention, guys. It's all the same. So your attitude is what really matters. Here's a really important point. When you're trading on a demo account, you're putting in a hypothetical $100. But when you're trading in real life, you might actually be putting in your last $100. The difference in perception is really huge because when you're trading on a demo account, you think in percentages, but on a real account, you don't think in percentages. You think in terms of actual money. And I always say that when you're trading, yeah, I know a lot of people would actually prefer if I were more expressive, like, oh, I won or I lost. But guys, we're doing trading here, not gambling in a casino. And since I've been trading for quite a while now, thank God, I really don't have those kinds of emotions anymore. And honestly, you shouldn't have them in trading. When I'm trading, I'm fully aware of this myself. I treat money like it's just play money. It doesn't matter to me. And this kind of approach to trading is actually really important. But you also shouldn't be so indifferent that you don't care at all whether you lose the money or not, because that's a whole different area, so to speak, that starts to come into play. For example, if I'm trading with $100, I really don't care about that $100. It honestly doesn't matter to me at all. Whether I lose it or make $100, I won't become any richer or poorer. You don't really get it. Well, you do get it, but you realize that you'll be making very, very little from each trade. Honestly, trading like that just isn't interesting to me. So when you trade, it should actually be engaging for you. It should be interesting, meaning you need to choose a deposit size for yourself so that with smart allocation over, say, 6 steps, the profit you make from each trade actually satisfies you. Then realistically, it's going to be tough for you to trade because there's a very high chance, and if you break that rule, you'll definitely lose your money. Just imagine, you'd have to make more than 20 successful trades, and that's not exactly fast either. So your trades might last 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Just think about how much time you'll end up spending. That's why you always need to choose your deposit wisely, but never trade with money you really can't afford to lose. Let me repeat, not because you're guaranteed to lose it, but because from a psychological standpoint, that's a really important factor. Right now, I'm trading on DYM. If you find yourself thinking this way, then it's probably better not to trade with that money. Also, I've noticed that a lot of people use demo accounts specifically for testing. For example, many people watch some strategy and then start using it on a demo account. But when they switch to a real account, they take everything they tested, but approach trading with a completely different mindset. And when they start trading with real money, they start improvising a lot. The funniest thing is that people actually think the problem is with the strategy. Even though, as I'll say again, it worked just fine on the demo account, but when they start trading with real money, something changes, and people don't realize that their psychology starts working differently. Yeah, and I can honestly say that I've caught myself doing this many times. That on a real account, you end up doing things differently than you did before when you were trading. Yeah, because on a demo account, for example, you just start trading, testing out the process. But when you're trading with real money, what do you expect from your strategy? Exactly, results, money, and so on. Right away, your expectations are too high, and that's something you need to get rid of too, guys. Everything I'm telling you right now, I'm sharing from my own personal experience. So please, take it to heart, and later let me know in the comments if this video helped you. I really hope it does. It's important to understand that as soon as you start expecting to make money, you immediately feel pressure. That's why I always say people come into trading, for example, and start thinking about how they want results right away, how much they want to earn. They run into their first difficulty, their first problem, and suddenly trading isn't for them anymore. They get disappointed right away, and so on. And I always say, guys, just think back to when you first started doing anything. Most of you watching right now probably have some kind of profession, some kind of field you work in, and so on. Now, imagine if you expected yourself to be at the top of your field right away, but when you started, things didn't work out immediately. You didn't start making a lot of money right off the bat, and so on. But most likely, you achieved something. It's exactly the same here. So why is it that in your own field, for example, you don't expect instant results? And you didn't expect it back then either, which is why you succeeded. But here, you immediately expect to become trillionaires. Exactly why I create my content and run my channel. So I hope you definitely support me in this. It's also very important to understand that real brokers like Pocket Option, Binarium, and so on use the same quotes no matter which one you choose. In other words, they don't manipulate the prices. Of course, I just want to point out, guys, that I'm talking about real quotes here. For example, if you open up TradingView, you'll see everything matches up. So there's absolutely no difference for you. There won't be any at all. Let's open up the euro-dollar pair, and here we have the euro-dollar. I've got 1-minute candles here, so you definitely need to pay attention to the time frame as well. Of course, so here, let's select... Okay, let's do it this way. Let's pick euro-dollar. And I'll have 1-minute candles. Notice that everything is exactly the same for us. The charts are absolutely identical. All brokers have the same quote provider, and once again, I'll repeat, the only difference is in risk and perception. When you're trading on the real chart like Euro, USD, and so on, without the OTC label, I don't recommend anyone trade on the OTC market. I made a separate video about this, either here or here in the suggestions, so be sure to check it out. Because the OTC market is a weekend market, and it's also available at night. You can mess around on it just for fun, but you'll never see any news there. You can never really do any proper analysis on it. So yeah, technically, in some cases, technical analysis works, but everything can change there in a snap, just like that. So guys, I have a big request. If you're trading at all, only trade regular currency pairs without the OTC label. That way, everything will match up for you, both your demo and real accounts. Here's what else I recommend you do to make sure everything goes smoothly for you. First of all, guys, let me put together a short checklist for you. The first thing it probably said was to reduce trade size on a real account. That is, when you have tested something on a demo account, switch to a real one. You don't even need to trade the same way as on a demo account you were trading, even if your proportions are the same. I also recommend that you calculate everything in percentages, not in money. So when you're trading, try to think of it as putting in not $100, for example, but 1%. Well, if you're trading with 10 grand, if someone happens to have that kind of money, in other words, when you realize you're opening positions in percentages, it'll be much easier for you to stay calm. This really works 100%. I've tested it myself. I also always say that you need to limit the number of trades you make. How do you do that? For example, you set a daily plan for yourself, not even weekly, but daily, either for earnings or by limiting your trading time right away. Maybe you only trade for 2 hours a day, or you stop once you reach, say, 15%. So really, you should set realistic percentage goals, not something like aiming for 100% profit in a day or plus 1,000. Sure, you might be able to hit 100%, but you'd have to take on a lot of risk. So if you set a goal of 15 or 20% a day, that's perfectly reasonable. Once you hit your target, stop trading. Also, if you end up taking a loss, you should definitely take a break. Never try to immediately win it back. So it's better to hold back, take a break, and then come back to trading with a clear head. Also, yes, start trading with small amounts, but make sure it's still interesting for you to earn money. So let me repeat that one more time. That's just the other extreme. So please, it's best not to go to either extreme. It's also important to understand that switching from a demo account to a real one isn't about strategy. Yes, it means that you've grown to this point, so to speak. If you start losing money on a real account, it doesn't mean, I don't know, that you're doing something wrong or that you're stupid or anything like that, because the demo account was just like a simulator. If you guys want, in the next video, I'll tell you how to properly transition from a demo account to a real account, so you don't blow it all in the first week. And that's exactly why I try to make my content in a way that people can learn from my mistakes and not repeat them themselves. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please support me by giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to join my Telegram channel, because there's a lot more trading information there, and it's free. I'm not selling you anything or trying to push any courses on you. Everything I do is free, because I already make a good living from trading myself. I think you can see that for yourselves. Thank you all so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next videos and on the trading floor. Bye, everyone.